And what's going on, Bruin Nation, LAFB fam? Happy Saturday to all of you. Hope you're enjoying a beautiful start to your weekend. So much to be excited about with our UCLA Bruins coming off of an emphatic victory, 78-52 over then number 16 ranked Oregon at the friendly, beautiful, historic confines of Pauley Pavilion. This was UCLA's biggest victory against Oregon since 2009, a 26-point demolition of a team widely regarded as a perennial Big Ten contender over the course of this season. And we have to begin with a few exceptional performances. Got to start with Eric Daly. And there's something about playing this Oregon unit. I think it's a combination of their bigs. They got a couple of lanky bigs, and then they got a lot of small guards, and they don't really have kind of that 3 or 4, that small forward, power forward to really match up with Eric Daly. Eric Daly went on an absolute tear in this game. Game high 21 points on a sizzling 8 of 9 shooting. And it really was that mid-range game that was working for Daly at the start of this game. Really kind of couple of dribbles, step back. Really that 17 to 19-foot variety. Jump shot was really falling for Daly. And then he had that emphatic highlight late in the second half on the outlet pass by Ade Mara, where he stuffed it and really put the signature on that terrific victory. And Daly was terrific, really set the tone, allowed UCLA to really jump out in this game. This was a game that the Bruins sort of took control early with suffocating defense and then getting out and running in transition. They were up 21-12 at one point. They had stretched it all the way to 40-24 at one point right before the end of the first half. And then things got a little bit tighter early in that second half. And then Mick once again kind of made the adjustment to go big. And he brought Mara in, took Daly out when Daly got his 3 fouls. And then that combination of Mara and Bilodeau on the court together was just overwhelming for the Oregon Ducks. They just did not have the size to match up. So fantastic game from Eric Daly. And if he was sort of the linchpin at the start, it really was Tyler Bilodeau. End of the first half, early second half, that kind of middle portion of the game, wildly efficient for Bilodeau. 15 points on 5 out of 8. Hit a couple threes from downtown. Really nice looking stroke. He had a couple shots that went long early in that game. You could tell he calibrated and corrected and was really a marksman out there. And then I would say that final 12, 14 minutes of the game up until garbage time, it really was kind of the two-man Dylan Andrews, Ade Mara show. A lot of high pick and roll, a lot of Andrews' game of being able to dribble at the top of the key, really weave in and out of sort of pick and roll situations, get to that 15 to 17-foot range that he loves, either at that elbow or right at the top of the key, and be able to drain those shots. Dylan Andrews, DA, had a terrific game. He looked like the DA of old, kind of the first half of last season DA, and really where we've sort of seen flashes of his greatness. 15 points on a very efficient, north of 50%, 6 for 11 from the field. So overall, the takeaway here is if the Bruins play the type of defense that we've come accustomed to in the Mick Cronin era, and then that allows them to create turnovers, get out and run, and if they're even able to play a more free-flowing game in their secondary sets, in their secondary offense, which they have these last 5 games, really feels like Mick has kind of let go of the rope a little bit, allowing these guys to make some more mistakes, but allowing these guys to be more individually creative. You're just seeing a wildly different team. This is a team that doesn't look scared anymore. They don't look tentative anymore. They're not afraid of getting pulled out of the game anymore. I really think there's been a breakthrough in communication between the players and between Mick to a way where this is working. And when you talk about, again, the depth, the versatility, you can go big with Mara and Bilodeau. You can go small with Bilodeau at the 5, depending on the type of team that you're playing. This is now a team that's looking every bit as good as what we thought at the beginning of the season, and that was a perennial Big Ten favorite and a potential Final Four team and beyond. And I think when you look at sort of the larger landscape of the Big Ten right now, as we're right at about the midway point of conference season, UCLA now, after the depths of despair of 11-6, coming off of those 4 straight losses, 5 of their last 6, now they've won 5 in a row. They've gotten to 16-6. They're 7-4 in the conference. And now you sort of look up and you see they're top 4 in this conference. And the top 3 teams right now, Michigan State, who's coming in Tuesday night, and we're going to be talking about that in a sec. You got Purdue, and then you got Michigan. If you really sort of break this down, I think Michigan State plays a really tough brand of ball, kind of very similar to UCLA, long wings, very aggressive. But I don't know if Michigan State has the individual explosive talent, those 1 or 2 key go-to guys that you need to be a truly elite team, a la Cooper Flagg at Duke, a la some of the guys that we're seeing around the country. And so I think UCLA matches up extremely well with Michigan State. When you look at Purdue, life after Edey has been interesting. This is still a team that has that culture from Edey, from Painter. They got their guards coming back, but those guards were very shaky over the last few years when more was on them. And the combination of Kobe Johnson, Daly, getting after it defensively, I think is a really good matchup for UCLA with Purdue. I like UCLA as being a better team, top to bottom, 1 through 10, than both Michigan State and Purdue. And that leaves us with Michigan. And obviously, the Michigan loss is fresh in our minds from 10 days ago. But you got to remember, that was before this Mara emergence. And where UCLA really struggled was down low. Michigan kind of had a twin tower concept, and playing Bilodeau at the 5, that was really a recipe for disaster. So we want to see what UCLA looks like with this emergence of Mara. I think it's going to clog up the lane for Michigan. Guys like Golden are not going to be able to have the easy looks that they had, those uncontested layups. And when you sort of assess the landscape here, UCLA is as good as anybody in the Big Ten, and they can beat anybody in the Big Ten. So this is going to be a fascinating stretch now moving forward. UCLA has been the beneficiary of a really nice piece in the schedule. The 5-game winning streak and these next 2 games, home against Michigan State, marquee matchup, quad 1 win opportunity, really significant resume builder, followed by home against Penn State, which is a game you feel like is an easier get. That's 7 games now that UCLA is playing completely on the West Coast. It's all been either home games at USC, which is basically a home game because you're in Los Angeles itself, and the only road game was at Washington, which was on the West Coast. So the fact that this felt more like a Pac-12 stretch of play, I think has helped UCLA regain their sea legs. They're looking really, really refreshed. And I think there's a world where if they can win these next 2 and sort of sweep this 7-game West Coast swing, get to 18-6, 9-4 in conference play, I think that final 7 games then, when they start sort of venturing back out to the Midwest and the better part of the East Coast, if they can finish that 5-2 and ultimately get to a place of 23-8, 14-6 in the Big Ten, that's probably going to be good enough for a number 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. That's probably going to be good enough for a double bye, and you're really sort of setting yourself up for a deep Big Ten run. Because if you can get to the semifinals or even the final of the Big Ten tournament, let alone winning it, and you come in as a number 3 seed, you've probably solidified yourself as a number 3 seed in the overall NCAA tournament. And with the right bracket and the right region, everything is still very much at play for UCLA. So really excited about the resurgence, guys. I think Tuesday night's the big one. If they can come in, got a feeling Magic Johnson's going to be at Pauley Pavilion, given what a Michigan State guy he is. That's the big one. Number 7, Michigan State. They're undefeated in the Big Ten, play a very similar style of ball. If UCLA, that's kind of the litmus test. If they can get that game against the number 1 team in the conference and one that plays a similar style of ball, they have completely sort of resurrected and recovered from that earlier stretch, and now are in a position very reasonably to go 5-2 down the stretch and really set themselves up for a top 3 seed in the conference tournament as well as the NCAA tournament. So we're going to have it all covered for you post Michigan State, and excited about how that's going to shake out. Now switching gears a little bit. It's been a little bit quiet on the gridiron front, but a couple of notable elements of news with Deshaun Foster and company. The first is on a bit of a somber note. Cody Whitfield, cornerbacks coach, has left the program and gone to a really terrific opportunity at Stanford under Troy Taylor's staff. Very excited for Cody Whitfield. He was terrific for us. I think the secondary had their ups and downs over the years, but last year in particular, between the recruiting and the development of those players over the course of the season, I think he did a terrific job. But I think now with this influx of the new offensive staff, you could tell they sort of wanted to bring in their guys. And I think it was a very mutually amicable parting and a win-win. And I think Cody Whitfield has found a really nice fit at Stanford to be deeply successful. We wish him all the best. Once a Bruin, always a Bruin. But I think there's been some even bigger news sort of on the recruiting front. UCLA was able to secure a 3-star prospect from Newbury Park in the class of 2025, Shane Rosenthal. Shane Rosenthal, 5'11", 175. He's your classic slot receiver in the modern NFL. Think Wes Welker, think Julian Edelman, think a little bit Cooper Kupp, think Kyle Phillips. This is sort of your classic 5'11", think Logan Loya, your sort of classic 5'11", 175 slot guy, understands defensive concepts, understands spacing, knows how to get open. Shane Rosenthal arguably was the most decorated California high school wide receiver ever at Newbury Park High School. He finished top 10 in the history of the state in 4 different categories: receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and interceptions, ironically enough, as a two-way player. And in the case of receptions, he is California's all-time receptions leader. So very exciting get. He was Sports Illustrated's CIF Southern Section High School Player of the Year this past year. So a really nice get as a 3-star prospect. And I think the impact for Shane Rosenthal isn't necessarily going to be what's on the field in 2025 per se, although a kid that was that decorated in high school is going to come in eager and hungry and aggressive to sort of play even as a true freshman. But given what we see out of the wide receiver room with the likes of, the guys that we've got coming back with Gilmer, with TMA, with Flores, with Wilson, this is sort of a deeper room from a wide receiver perspective. So Shane Rosenthal is going to come in and compete. But I think the big value here is what he can bring 26 and beyond, not just on the field, but who he could potentially bring in, because 2026, 5-star in some agencies, 4-star in others, from Newbury Park, California, who's Rosenthal's quarterback at Newbury Park, Brady Smigel, just decommitted about a week ago from Florida State. He was locked in with Florida State for a number of months. I think he saw the type of season that Florida State had this year. Unfortunately, their 2024 was an absolute nightmare, coming off of that near college football playoff appearance in 2023. And the wheels just absolutely fell off in a historic way. I think Smigel lost confidence in the coaching staff with Florida State. So much uncertainty there, rebuild possibilities, coaching overhaul. I think there was just too unstable a situation for Smigel to sort of take some chances. He's pulled back now, and he's re-looking at his commitment and where he wants to go. And UCLA has made his final top 10. Now, granted, top 10, long way to go for closing. But the fact that UCLA was in that top 10, number one, where it wasn't a serious contender the first go-around, means momentum and the arrow is pointing up. Number two, you're talking about Rosenthal being his teammate and a guy they had a very, very deep connection with already coming to UCLA. So that's a huge second piece of the puzzle. And then number three, he's a California kid. And when you're sort of looking at the landscape of California, particularly Southern California, look, it's UCLA, it's USC. USC looks like they're locked in with Hassan Longstreet and then potentially Ryder Lyons as their sort of quarterback lineage. So the opening here is at UCLA. When you look at the quarterback room right now, you got Joey Aguilar, of course, coming in from Appalachian State. That feels like a one-year type of, I don't want to say rental, but a one-year type of short-term solution for UCLA. And then we got to see how the young kids develop. I'm very excited about Luke Duncan. I'm very excited about Demarcus Davis. We obviously have Hasselbeck's son in there. We got McDaniel, the 4-star out of Arizona. But Smigel coming in there could be a massive get for this Deshaun Foster era and really a signal to so many others in California that, hey, UCLA is thriving once again with a very active recruiter, and this is the place you want to be. And what was very interesting with Rosenthal was he really went out of his way to share how much the coaching staff made a huge impact on his decision. And I think that was very significant to hear. In this world, again, that's so transactional in college football today, NIL, unlimited transfer portal, where's my bag? Where's my playing time? Where's my endorsements? Where's my opportunity to go to the NFL? The fact that he built such a deep rapport with the coaching staff, and the fact that this coaching staff believes so much in the values of the university and the holistic student athlete, I think really resonated with Shane Rosenthal. And if it resonated with Shane Rosenthal, can it resonate with a Brady Smigel? And does that then become the domino effect to now start opening up the floodgates in California recruiting for Deshaun Foster and company? So we'll keep an eye out for it. Very exciting times ahead for football as well. Things are a little quiet, and you want them that way. Right now, you want these guys to be in the weight room, in the film room, developing, getting stronger, getting tougher, getting smarter. And now we'll probably see some more activity in the April window of the transfer portal. We'll probably have some sneak peeks on spring, but as and when anything breaks, as well as all of the offseason analysis, we got you covered. So Bruin fans, a lot to be excited about. Come out, pack Pauly Tuesday night. Let's let Michigan State know who the ultimate blue blood in college basketball is and what the greatest venue in all of college basketball is. The one, the only Edwin J. Pauly Pavilion. Let's rock out hard for basketball, and let's think positive thoughts for football. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And as always, 4's up forever.